Welcome back to Nate's Game Picks, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming off of a full week of football, Thanksgiving week, week 13. I had 12 games right, 4 games wrong. So one of the better weeks that your boy has had all year. Overall record now 113-81. Trying to get that percentage up to what it was looking like last year. A couple of notable ones. My upset alert of the week went through. The Texans beat the Colts. I predicted 21-19. The final score was 20-16. Cowboys beat the Chiefs on Thanksgiving. I predicted the Lions beating the Packers. The Packers ended up beating the Lions. And on Monday Night Football, the Giants lost to the Patriots. I had them losing by 5. Patriots ended up winning by 18 points. So now, for week 14, we're going to break down a couple bye weeks, a couple teams on byes. I believe those are the 4 last teams to have one. So we got 14 matchups. And without further ado, 14 matchups for week 14. Let's go ahead and check it out. Let's check out the week 14. First, let's start off with the bye weeks. We have 4 teams on bye. The New England Patriots, New York Giants, San Francisco 49ers, and the Carolina Panthers. 3 NFC teams this time and 1 final AFC team. I believe that brings all the bye weeks to a close. Let's go ahead and start off with the first matchup of week 14. The Cowboys are playing at the Lions. On the road, a Lions team, lots of injuries. Amon-Ra St. Brown, questionable to play. Graham Glasgow, their starting center, questionable to play. Kirby Joseph listed as out. I also believe they have a Terrion Arnold is set to have shoulder surgery. A lot of pretty banged up roster on Detroit side of things, to say the least. Even their return man, Khalif Raymond, questionable to play. Cowboys are getting players back. I believe that Trevon Diggs has been out for several weeks. His practice window is open. Kalen Carson, full participant in practice. Tyler Guyton will probably likely be out, meaning that they will have to start Nate Thomas again at left tackle for the Cowboys. This is going to be a matchup of the trenches. I think if the Cowboys can mitigate Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery from getting a run flow going early for the Lions, they'll have an advantage here. Obviously, it's going to be a big task on this Cowboys offensive line going on the road. Indoor facility, Ford Field gets very loud in there. It's going to favor the Lions, whereas the Cowboys interior 7 has been very good since the trade deadline, and that's what's going to be the key to get the Lions off of their game. If the Cowboys can jump ahead early with points, they will be in good position. If the Lions can control the clock, they'll be in position to put the Cowboys out later in the game. It's going to be a good matchup. Two teams that don't like each other. I'm excited for this one. It's going to be tipped off tomorrow, Thursday Night Football. I got the Cowboys on the road, continuing their win streak, winning of a score of 34-21. Moving on, Sunday slate of games, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Seahawks at the Falcons. Falcons lost to the Jets. I predicted them winning by 6. They ended up losing by 3. Last week, I think the Seahawks, they favor the Falcons. Actually can do some damage here if they keep the Seahawks defense on the field and their offense off. Seahawks shut out the Vikings last week 26-0. Most in part to their defense, as offensively they were a little off rhythm. Jackson Smith and Jigba turned in his lowest yardage receiving for the game. It was under 30 yards. Kudos to the Minnesota defense. But the Falcons defense have been giving up some yards. Gave up over 400 yards passing to Bryce Young 2 weeks ago, and they gave up They gave up the only 100-yard receiver from last week in Adonai Mitchell, which he had his first 100-yard game and first career touchdown last week. So I think the Falcons got something to prove. I think this coaching staff could be on their way out if they continuously lose through this end portion of the season, which is an evaluation period for the teams that know they're probably going to miss the playoffs. And I think the Falcons can, maybe establish some faith back into the staff if they can beat a playoff team in the Seahawks, which is most likely going to make it, considering they're in the NFC West and have to play a lot of good teams remaining. The Seahawks do have to take care of business if they want to get themselves a good seed into the playoffs. Nothing's guaranteed. 9-win team, but the NFC is going to have a crazy finish. I think the Seahawks take care of business on the road against the Falcons and score 27-24. I think Njigba gets over 100 receiving yards this game. Bengals at the Bills. Interesting matchup here. Bengals coming off a Thanksgiving win. 18-point win over the rival Ravens. Now the Ravens and Steelers are tied for the division lead, with the Bengals only 2 games back. Playing a Bills team coming off a big win against the Steelers, where they maintained the ball for 40-plus minutes. I think this will be key for them here against the Bengals, as Joe Burrow made his return. 100-yard passing to Jamar Chase, 100 yards receiving to Jamar Chase. T. Higgins was still banged up, but other receivers stepped out. Andre Yoshivas, Mike Gesicki, and Chase Brown, one of the more underrated backs. And I think that's going to be the key for the Bengals here. The Bills and the Bengals The Bengals are one of those teams that have had the Bills' number during the regular season and postseason in the last 4 or 5 years. So I think this could be an interesting matchup. I do see a lot of points scored. I think the Bills' number one key here is to stop the Bengals from converting on third down, and they have to get touchdowns when they get into the red zone. Both these two teams, I think, will be able to drive the ball on each other. I think the Bills come out on top since they're at home with a score of 33-30 in the end. Titans at the Browns. We got two matchups here. Shedeur Sanders, starting quarterback for the Browns. They lost last week to the Niners. They're at home again against the Titans team. I expect Myles Garrett. He's currently at 19 sacks for the season. The record is 23. I think he at least gets 2 sacks against a Cam Ward, a poor offense here, poor offensive line. Cam Ward has taken a lot of sacks most of the year. If Cam Ward can get the ball out of his hands, he might avoid the pressure, but there's other players on this Browns defense too that can generate pressure. So I do believe that the Titans will have a hard time here on the road. Can see him putting up a fight, but it's going to be the Browns who are at home. In the end, dog pound prevail. I think they win a score of 20-17. Commanders at the Vikings. The Vikings, as mentioned, 26-0, got shut out. Undrafted rookie quarterback that started the game. The Commanders almost beat the Broncos, which is tied for the best record in the AFC currently. The Commanders on the road. It's going to be tough coming off of a home loss, going into the road against Vikings. Although the Vikings are not so good at home, they're always a little better. But I do think the Commanders come in here and I think they beat the Vikings. I think the Vikings are kind of down and out. Justin Jefferson, with that captain on his chest, has been showing his frustration, which is understandably so. And they haven't failed They've failed to stick to their run game with Aaron Jones Sr. and Jordan Mason. I think the Commanders come in here and get back in the win column as they've lost multiple games in a row. Both these two teams both are entering this game with losing streaks. I think the road team wins here. The Commanders over the Vikings, a score of 19-10. Now, with the Dolphins at the Jets in this matchup, divisional matchup here, two teams that don't like each other. Both teams coming off of wins also. Dolphins are coming off of a bye week, going at New York here, MetLife. Played pretty good under Tyrod Taylor. Play very hard for Coach Aaron Glenn. Their corners play a lot of man coverage, so big task here. Tua's got to get the ball out quick. He's that kind of quarterback. Look for Devon Achane. If the Jets can shut down Devon Achane, that's going to be a good recipe for the Jets in order to steal this win here, as the Dolphins might be trying to fight themselves into the playoff picture. They're still in the hunt. The Jets want to probably spoil that. Definitely the big bittered rivals that they don't like. They want to spoil that for them. And the Dolphins have won 5 of the last 6 matchups against the Jets. The only matchup in the last 6 that the Jets won, they played at home. So this is another home game. I think they will be favored, and I think the Dolphins will be favored. But I think if the Jets can slow down Devon Achane, take him away, force Tua to throw his receivers and tight ends, which the Jets will be playing more man coverage to, I think it favors them in the end. And I think they win with a score of 24-23 over the Dolphins. Colts at the Jaguars. We have here two teams, both 8-4. Jaguars just took the lead in the division after the Texans knocked off the Colts last week. Must win for the Colts. They've lost 3 of the last 4 games. 2 of their last 3. Definitely 2 of their last 3 games. I think the Jaguars, too, got something to prove. They're at home. The Jaguars have beat the Colts 3 of the last 4 matchups. And the matchup they lost, they were in Indianapolis. Colts, with the Jaguars being at home, some years back when the Jaguars were, I think, finished with the number 1 overall pick, they actually beat the Colts in a Colts clinching scenario to get into the playoffs. A winner go home, if you will. Carson Wentz was back then playing, and then they lost that game by 15 points to the Jaguars. The Jaguars play very good at home. I think Duval comes out on top here. The Colts got a lot to prove. Daniel Jones and the teams that have been the losses they've suffered. Jonathan Taylor has failed to rush for a touchdown. If Jonathan Taylor can at least rush for 1 touchdown, they'll have a chance in this game. Without it, I think their losing streak continues. I think the Jaguars beat him here of a score of 30-27, home over the Colts. Saints at the Buccaneers. These two teams played in New Orleans. I thought the Saints would win that one. They actually lost. I think that was Tyler Shuck's 2nd career start. And then this one, Buccaneers at home. They got back Bucky Irving. They had Chris Godwin back last week. Won a close game, tough game against a opponent that plays hard in the Cardinals. They've had their fair share of losing in the last 3 weeks. And I think with the Bucs at home, they're looking to play those Panthers. The Panthers are resting. They're on a bye week. Big winners from last week. They are now in the winning column, 7-6, and the Buccaneers are 7-5. So they want to stay ahead as they have to play the Panthers 2 more times before the season ends. Really shaking up, which will determine who's the division winner coming out of the NFC South. which many consider is the weakest division, at least in the NFC. But however, Buccaneers Saints division matchup, two teams that don't like each other. Anything can happen. I do think the Buccaneers prevail at home. Baker Mayfield will get the ball checked out, get it out of his hands quick. Don't let the Saints pass rush get to you. There's matchups to take advantage of in the secondary. I think the Bucs win at home with a score of 22-14. Steelers at the Ravens. First time these two teams have matched up this year. They'll play again later in the year. This is the first matchup. Ravens at home, coming off of a home loss, big home loss against a division opponent. I don't see them dropping back-to-back games against division opponents at home. Steelers possessed the ball under 20 minutes total in the game against Buffalo at home. Very, very poor showing offensively. Aaron Rodgers seemed disjointed with the receiving core. Not a lot of chemistry, if you say. Their tight end, Pat Freiermuth, one of a Pro Bowl caliber player, has underperformed this year. DK Metcalf, they traded for him, they paid for him. They paid him, I should say. Underperforming this year. They just let go of Darius Slay, picked up Adam Thielen off waivers. This team is the highest paid defense in the league. This team is on the brink of collapse, quite frankly. And if they can't put up anything positive against the Ravens team, I do think it'll get uglier. I already have the Ravens winning by 10, but I think it could get uglier if the Steelers don't get some quick momentum, take advantage of drives, and finish in the red zone. They have to move the ball into the red zone in the first place. I think the Ravens win here at home with a score of 23-13. Key for them will be in give the ball to Derrick Henry. Give the ball to Derrick Henry, by all means. 4:05 slotted games here going now. Broncos at the Raiders. Raiders at home. I'm not sure if they've played. Yes, they did play each other early in the year. The Broncos were home. Was final score 10-7. I think it could be a similar matchup. I think the Raiders found something in Brock Bowers. They were feeding him the ball. Obviously tough on Geno Smith, as that offensive line have struggled all year. Ashton Genty has been bottled up. Not a lot good going for this Raiders offense. A lot of people consider them the worst team in the league, but their defense actually is more of a bend but don't break. They don't just give up 400 and big plays to every team they play. I think they have a good chance to bottle up the Broncos, as they struggled last week against the Commanders team, who's been in a losing funk as well. I think the Raiders at home put up a fight, but in the end, I think the Broncos do what's necessary to get this win, sweeping the series of the Raiders this year. I think the Broncos win on the road, a score of 27-14. Bears at the Packers, the oldest rivalry in the National Football League. Bears and the Packers, they played each other over 100 years ago. I think this one is very telling. Of the last 12 matchups, the Packers have won 11 of them. Last year, the last game of the season, the Bears actually beat the Packers in Lambeau. This game is in Lambeau. I think there's a lot on the plate here for both teams. Matt LaFleur against Ben Johnson. They know each other. They're familiar with each other. The Bears just came off of a big win. A big win against the Eagles on Black Friday, and the Packers a big win against their division rivals the day prior on Thanksgiving. So both these teams have had time to rest. I do think Jordan Love and the Packers are a more favorable matchup, as the Bears just got back Jalen Johnson off of injured reserve. He's been hurt for a while. And I think Kyler Gordon or Jaquan Brisker, one of the two, I get those two mixed up. But obviously this will be a fun matchup. I think this will be one of the better games of the week. I believe it's America's Game of the Week on the second in the second window of games there. I think the Bears, obviously they've lost. They won the last time they played, but prior to that, 11 losses to this team. Why can't they not come out here and win? I think they can get after Jordan Love, and I think their running game is one to be feared, as this offensive line is moving downhill. This Packers defense, one of the better ones in the league, good pass rush. However, they have shown that they give up some rushing yards if you go after them. So I think that's what the Bears might want to do here. I think they get the win here on the road. Big upset. Let me see here. Big upset. I forgot to circle my upset alert. Oh, it's this one. This is my upset alert. Sorry, guys. I'm just looking over the paper. Upset alert of the week is going to be the Bears over the Packers in Lambeau, 28-24. Let's see how that turns out. Division games, anything can happen. Rams at the Cardinals. Another division matchup. Rams and Cardinals played each other early in the year. The Cardinals lost by 3 when they were up, I believe. At the Cardinals here, a couple years ago, last year, Marvin Harrison Jr.'s big breakout game came against the Rams. I don't think the Rams let him. I think the Rams want to focus on taking Harrison out the game, maybe forcing them to beat them with someone else, maybe McBride, maybe Bam Knight. Michael Wilson, as this team led by Jacoby Brissett have competed, but they just can't seem to finish games. Cardinals at home here against the Rams team. Coming off of a loss against the Panthers, by the way. Big upset there from last week that I didn't see coming. I think that's what's going to motivate the Rams to kind of play conservative, not pass the ball too much. When they get into the goal line situation, it's going to be Davante Adams, tight split formation, throwing him a go ball. He's a veteran. He's leading the league in receiving touchdowns. He does what he does best. And with a veteran Hall of Fame quarterback like Matthew Stafford throwing the ball, no wonder those two are in sync. So the Cardinals will have to stop that when they get into the red zone, and the Cardinals need to put up points. If not, it's going to be a long game. I can see both these two teams just playing a little more physical, a little bit lower scoring. I think the Rams win on the road here with a score of 21-16. Sunday night football, we have the Texans at the Chiefs. This is a rematch from last year's divisional round. The last 5 games, last 5? Yep. Okay. So the last five matchups between these two teams, the Chiefs have won all of them. The last 5 matchups these two teams have played, I think they've won all of them. I do think the Texans. This is the first time of the year I'm gonna do double upside alert. I think the Texans beating the Chiefs is an upside alert because the Texans are on a win streak. The Chiefs have been a little up and down. They're currently 6-6 on the outside of the playoff picture looking in, but so are the Texans. The Texans got just as much to prove as the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been there, done that, but the Texans want to go get past the divisional round. As D'Amico Ryans, this defense is relentless. They get after you. They only had 1 sack last week of Daniel Jones of the Colts, but they shut him down when they got into the red zone, getting them off the field on 4th downs. I think this is the key against the Chiefs team, who went for it on 4th down multiple times against the Cowboys team. Were able to convert, but it may not be the same against this Texans defense. So I do think another upset coming in the work here. I think the Texans, I called them last week on the alert. I think they go into Kansas City, where the Chiefs typically play more sound. It's going to be difficult on that Texans offensive line. C.J. Stroud, first game back last week, he's got to be calm, got to settle in. It took him some quarters to settle into that game last week. It's going to be very key for him to settle in early and control the game against the Chiefs this week. I think the Texans win and will score 24-21 in the second upset alert of the week. And finally, Monday Night Football, we got the Eagles at the Chargers. Chargers at home. Eagles have lost 2 in a row. Lost to the Cowboys, up 21 points, came back and lost. Go home to Philadelphia, lose to a Bears team, give up 287 yards rushing. First time since 2014 that a pair of running backs from the same team both rushed for over 100 yards and a rushing score. That's going to be big in their minds. They cannot give that up. And now they're facing a running back, Kamani Vidal, who just rushed for 130 yards last week against the Raiders. So this is going to be a task for them. I think the Chargers quarterback, Justin Herbert, is a little banged up, but he's still going to play. He's taken a lot of sacks this year. I think the Chargers have to do a better job protecting him, maybe get some 6-7 man protection. If they can run the ball well, they'll open up the play action. Much like the Bears did, keep this Eagles offense off the field, keep their defense out there. This is a good defense by all means. Yes, they gave up a lot of rushing yards to the Bears, but they're still a good defense. But the Chargers can keep them out there, wear them out, it'll probably benefit them. This game will be played indoors. The Eagles have to travel from the East Coast to the West Coast. I think the Chargers have all the advantages to be taken advantage of, but they got to protect Justin Herbert. That's what the Eagles' key is here. They got to get after him, and they got to make sure that they get their running back going, Saquon Barkley. But I do think the Chargers win here at home. I don't see it being an upset because the Chargers are a tough team. Getting into that playoff picture, the teams are going to be fighting hard more than ever. I think the Chargers win at home with a score of 30-28. That wraps up Week 14, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited to see what the results are. My 12-4 record from last week was very good. I'm looking to improve it on this week. I got double upset alerts for you this week. Kind of new thing there. Maybe we'll look to do that more because some weeks I struggle to find 1 for you guys. I found 2 for this week. So I hope you guys enjoy. Staying safe. Tell your family you love them. And by all means, stay safe out here. Love you guys. And Naderade, we'll see you guys next week for Week 15 recap. Recapping Week 14, and then we'll look into Week 15. See you guys on the next one.